everyone. This video is about urban policy. Basically, this is part of the course that is to be held at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. But since this is shown on YouTube, anybody who are interested in it can watch it. Okay, my name. My name is Kohei Yoshida. Kohei Yoshida. I have been studying sociology and history for 15 years, and I have written books and articles related to urban policy. So I will be giving all the lectures in this course. So very nice to see you all. All right, let's begin our lecture 1 for today. That is to be the introduction to the course. Okay. In this introduction, I will show you the overview of the course. You probably want to know what I will teach in the course, right? So, in the part 1 of today's lecture, I will be looking at the purpose and the scope of the course. But you also want to know, probably, what you will have to do in this course, right? So next, I will be looking at the coursework. I will be explaining what you will have to do in the course. So we have two videos today. We have two videos today. The first video is about part 1, and the second video is about part 2. So please don't miss either of them. Both of them are pretty important. All right, let's look at the first part of the day. This part has 3 sections. And in the first section, we will be looking at the subject of the course. Subject means the content or things that we study and discuss. So in this course, we are going to look at the meaning of urban policy. Okay, let me begin with what the word urban is. There are a set of phenomena that could be called urban. So let's think about this question. What kind of a phenomena is regarded as urban? What kind of phenomena are regarded as urban? The easiest way to answer it is to look at these places. Cities, towns, and villages. They are the places where most of the people live. Now, let's start with it. Do you think of a city as an urban place? Probably everyone would say yes. They say city is yes, urban place. Right, it means that cities are regarded as urban places. We also say that cities are in urban areas, right? Next, look at the opposite side of the cities. We have villages on the right-hand side. Do you think of a village as an urban place? A few may say yes, but most of the others will probably say no. It means typically villages are rural places. And we also say that villages are in rural areas. What about towns? It depends. Generally speaking, towns have the both characteristics. So let's skip about that. So anyway, this is the terminology of urban and rural. By using this terminology, we now know that cities and the urban are interrelated. Okay, cities are urban places. And the word urban means something of a cities, right? Okay, now we've got the meaning of urban. Let's go and move on to the word of policy. In this course, we would like to consider public policy in general. Okay, so what is public policy? When we say public policy, we often imagine the actions that come from above. So let's look at it first. For example, here is a cartoon from the 19th century France. This guy, whose name is Mr. Osman in French, was one of the officials in French government. And he's actually the very famous guy in the history of urban policy. But what did he do then? He made a plan. He made a plan of a new Paris, the capital city of France. Following his plan, the government started to deconstructing the walls and streets of old Paris. And instead, the government began making very famous and very beautiful roads, parks, and facilities. And thanks to these urban policies, we got that beautiful city, Paris. Okay. Anyway, this is how this typical type of urban policy is conducted from above. But this is not the only type of public policy. We have other type of policies that come from below. Okay, we got different type from the former one. Let's look at example. Take a look at this photo. This photo was taken 2 years ago in Paris. As you see it, a woman has flags standing on the street signals, and there is a big crowd behind her. What are they doing? They were protesting to the government plan of making a new tax on gasoline. When this plan was announced, the people began demonstrating along streets, insisting that tax should not be imposed on the citizens. Instead, they insisted or they demanded that the new taxes should be imposed on companies, not on them. This is what they demanded. From this example, we know that people sometimes take action like this to propose their own policy from below. Okay, now we got these very different but very important two types of public policies. In this course, in this urban policy course, we regard both of them as the types of public policies. Okay. Now let's make a summary about two previous slides. Okay. We have an urban phenomena on the one hand, right? And we have public policy on the other. What do we get from this framework? We get urban policy as the intersection of these two fields. So it means, for example, if there is a public policy that has something to do with urban phenomena, then we call it urban policy. Okay, this is how we use the word urban policy. Okay, by using this definition, we can theorize that every urban policy has two aspects. So In the lectures that follow, whenever I say urban policy, I will try to explain how that policy is related to urban phenomena and how that urban policy is related to public policy. Okay, we will look at two aspects of urban policies, right? This is how we use this definition. All right, now that our subject is clear, let us move on to the next section. And in the section 2, we will be looking at why and how we study this subject. Why should we study this subject? Our aim is to be able to commit to actions in cities. First, suppose you and I live in the same city. Okay, that city can be Kyoto City, for example. And suppose there are so many problems in our city. Then, which problem is the most serious one? For example, we have problems of healthcare, problem of industry, problem of education. Which is the most serious and which is the most urgent? Generally speaking, it is quite difficult to decide which one is most urgent, because there are so many ideas about the problems. You know, you have your own idea and I would have my own idea too. Okay, so it is very difficult to decide which is the most serious and important. So are the solutions to these problems. What should be done? For example, if you want to solve the garbage problem in the city of Kyoto. For example, if we had too much garbage in the city, then there may be so many solutions or so many ideas about solutions. For example, do you want to ban all the garbage? Or do you want to make citizens to pay much more money to, tackle with the garbage problem? Or do you want to make more facilities to just burn them all? Anyway, there may be so many ideas about the solutions. But if we want to make actual public policy, then we need to decide one solution. But how do we decide? It is pretty difficult again, because there are so many ideas about it, right? And in this case, or in such a case, sharing and discussing our ideas is pretty important. This is inevitable in our city. Okay? But if everyone had the personal opinions only, like I want to ban all the garbage, and you say, no, I want to make facilities. If they are all personal opinion, then we will not have any agreement. So we actually need fact-based argument. And if we had fact-based argument, that will help us to reach agreement. Okay, fact-based argument helps us make agreement. And with the agreement, we'll be able to take effective actions. That means it makes us be able to commit to actions in cities. So fact-based argument is the thing that we want to learn in this course. And this is why we would like to study the subject urban policy. All right? Okay, to that end, we need to learn theoretical points of view. Let me explain these theoretical points of view. Our viewpoints are two fields in this lecture, in this course. Okay. One of the viewpoints is historical. When I say we learn historical point of view, it means we will learn a set of history behind the actions in cities. When we think of actions in cities, history is very important because history have kind of determined the backgrounds of urban policies. History makes us understand what we can make and what we cannot make in cities. The other point of view is sociological one. When we say sociological, it means we will look at the complex relations among the elements. By looking at these complex relations, we will be able to understand how this and that phenomena are interrelated. Okay, this is what we call sociological perspective. So we will learn both historical and sociological points of view. But this kind of learning is not enough. So we also want to do this. We want to make a practice. We want to practice applying knowledge to actual case. So we're gonna do case study. First of all, I request everyone to research on any action in any city you like. This work should be the case study that is based on factual information. So you need to make factual research. Okay, this is how you apply your knowledge to actual urban policies. Second, I request everyone to report your findings of the research. So you need to write your report. Okay. In this course, you need to write your research paper, and I want everyone to show your judgment in the report. Okay, I want you to judge if the existing policy is good or bad. This is what you need to do in your report. All right, this is how we apply knowledge to the actual case. So let's go on to the next section. This is the third and the last section of part 1. We look at summary and other information. Okay. First, let's look at our schedule. Now we are looking at overview of the course, right? And in the following lectures, I mean lectures 2 to 5, we will be learning knowledge. And in lectures 6 and 7, we will do case study. It means research and report. Keep in mind that every lecture has small tasks, and perhaps one video has one task. So please don't forget to submit all the tasks before deadline. Okay, this is pretty important because you want to make good score in this semester, right? Okay, let me show you some summary. I'm going to read one by one. 1. In this course, urban policy refers to the public actions in urban phenomena. Right? 2. The lectures will be given from historical and sociological points of view, focusing on the background and relations of the cities or of the actions in cities. 3. Every student is expected to learn knowledge as well as to conduct research and write his or her own report. 4. This experience will help students with understanding and discussing any topics of urban policies that interest you. All right, this is what we learned today. Here we have a couple of quizzes. Please read one by one and think if it is true or not. I'm not going to read each of them, but please read yourself and think if it is true or false. Okay, let me go to the next slide. This is the source information for the materials I used. Okay, but we have nothing to do with it, actually. So, oh, I'm sorry. All right, here, this is the last slide for this first movie. Hello again. That's all about the first video. Okay, so everyone take a short break and refresh yourself. And when you are ready, please go to the next video. Okay, don't forget to watch the next video. We have 2 videos today, right? Okay, see you then.